items, Director of Public Works and Interim Director of Community Services. This is a proposed, regarding the proposed Fremont Park renovation project. Chief of Police, recommendation to destroy certain police department records, documents, and papers. Director of Public Works, this is regarding the Shoal Canyon landfill slope repairs. City Attorney, the meeting cancellation of August 2nd because of the National Night Out events that evening. That is a report to request to cancel that meeting. City Manager, this is regarding voting delegates for the League annual conference that is coming up. For adoption of ordinances, we have adding Chapter 8.80 to the Glendale Municipal Code to define blighted and deteriorated areas relating to the city's use of community development block grant funds for the city's code enforcement program. Under action items, based on what we heard this morning from the City Council at our second planning workshop regarding the South Glendale Community Plan, we are bringing to you that evening from Director of Community Development our planning workshop, but it'll be more of a report regarding the small lot subdivision condo conversions, as well as the planning workshop as it relates to South Glendale Community Plan. So that'll be under 8A that evening. Fire Chief, this is a resolution of appropriation to fund the Firefighter Recruitment and Training Academy. Fire Chief also, this is regarding weed abatement charges for 2015 and 2016. City Attorney, selection of proposal for third-party administrator services to supplement the city's in-house workers' compensation section. City Attorney, this is a second amendment to amend the restated joint exercise of powers agreement among the cities of Burbank, Glendale, and Pasadena, and this is pertaining to the Burbank, Glendale, Pasadena Airport Authority. And lastly, Director of Public Works and Police Chief, this is tenant improvements at the Glendale Police building. So we'll have a report regarding that. And that concludes my report, Madam Mayor.
Sounds like another long day. Next item, please. Thank you.
Next item is at 3B, Mayor's Commendations for Family Promise Nonprofit of the Year Award from Senator Carol Liu.
And Albert Hernandez is here to accept. Congratulations on this award, Albert, for Family Promise. I did attend your gala reception this weekend, and it was lovely to meet all the people that are so enthusiastic about your progress and your great job. So Mayor's Commendation presented to Family Promise of the Verdugos, Nonprofit of the Year. Congratulations on receiving the Nonprofit of the Year Award for District 25. I commend your hard work, your passion, and dedication in partnering up with local faith-based congregations and various organizations in order to provide resources for families in need. Your outstanding guidance has helped provide food, shelter, counseling support, and job readiness training to better equip families for future endeavors. On behalf of the City of Glendale, I wish you continued success. Mayor Paula Devine. Laura, do you want to present that? Excuse me.
As a member of your advisory board, a proud member, I'm very happy with the work that you do. I'm very proud to be able to present this. Thank you.
Excellent, Albert. Well, before you speak, I just want to say that Albert only took over this organization 1 year ago, and he's brought it to these heights. So there's an extra congratulations to you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and council members and city staff for supporting us. We're very honored to have received this Nonprofit of the Year award for Senate District 25 and Carol Liu's office. And it honestly is a testament to the volunteers, the congregations that we work with, and our board and advisory members and a couple board members that are here with us today. It's really their hard work that has really deserves this recognition. We help so many families throughout the year. We've helped 26 households this year alone, these last 12 months, both in Glendale and in Burbank, and it's great work. And I just love my job. Like Mayor Devine said, it's only been a year, but it's been the best year that I've had in my history of 15 years in working with nonprofits. So thank you again for recognizing us, and we appreciate all your support. Thank you again.
Albert, before you go, for the members in the community who might not know your organization, can you just tell very quickly a bit about what you do and how people can volunteer, if you don't mind, Madam Mayor? Just
Of course. So we're a shelter for homeless families with children. We provide services, shelter, meals, counseling, job development classes, financial literacy classes for up to 90 days. And in those 90 days, we're helping the families, the parents, attain employment, and most importantly, housing. We really want to get these families off living from the streets in their cars or bouncing from sofa to sofa and get them back into sustainable housing. And we've averaged this last 12 months of doing that within 62 days. And we work with so many nonprofits in town that refer families to us, such as Essentia, even the school district and the police department. So it's really a community that comes together to support these families that are in dire need. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item on the agenda is a consent calendar, including minutes following our routine and may be acted upon by one motion. A member of council or the audience requesting separate consideration may do so by making such request before a motion is proposed.
Do I have any motion, or anyone want to pull an item here?
No, I'll move the item.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Council members Friedman?
Yes.
Garpetian?
Yes.
Najarian?
Yes.
Sinanian?
Yes.
Mayor Devine.
Yes. Next item, please.
For point of clarification, Councilmember Garpetian, did you intend to abstain from the approval of the minutes of July 12th?
Yes.
Thank you. City Council and staff comments is the next item on the agenda.
Councilmember Friedman?
So last week I asked anyone on the council to second a discussion of us following in the footsteps of Pasadena and other cities to ban polystyrene, which is styrofoam, and nobody responded, although one council member did say that he wanted to have more information before he would entertain discussing the item. So I just wanted to quickly say what the Pasadena ordinance does and then try again, because tonight we're going to be talking about an option for Shoal landfill, and reducing our solid waste that goes into Shoal is a big part of dealing with the issue at Shoal, and this would, I believe, go quite a long ways in dealing with a material that's very difficult to recycle. So what the Pasadena ordinance does is it prohibits food providers from selling or distributing any polystyrene food service wares in conjunction with the sale of prepared food or beverages at any location within their city. It prohibits anyone from distributing or selling prepared food or beverages and any polystyrene food service ware at city facilities. Also from distributing polystyrene food service wares at city-sponsored events or activities or city meetings. And it also prohibits its city contractors, agents, and employees in their official capacity from purchasing or requiring or distributing these products. So it's very similar to our plastic bag ban in that it affects servers of food. It doesn't prohibit individual homeowners from purchasing polystyrene. It doesn't stop people from using the polystyrene packing materials. It doesn't go that far. It deals with food operators. And keep in mind that all of the large food operators in the country have moved away from this product. You don't see it being used at McDonald's, at Starbucks, because there are many alternatives that are much more ecologically sound. So I would like to ask my colleagues to second a discussion. We're not seconding doing this ban, but at least bringing it up for discussion at the City Council. Thank you. So we have a second, and I look forward to this coming back, and I would look at the...
Who seconded that?
I did.
Mr. Snanian,
Discussion. Let's have a discussion.
to look at the Pasadena ordinance and also the ordinances that have been done in other places around the state as models in terms of what they're focusing on so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Thank you.
I'd like to amend that request, perhaps a friendly amendment. Since the Pasadena ordinance was just adopted and will go into effect in 30 days, can we have this at a point where they've actually started to implement it and talk about the pros and cons?
The only thing I'd say is that there are other cities that have done this a while ago. So Pasadena may have just have done it, but other cities have done it. So we should certainly look at what's happened in those cities. But let me ask Mr. Zern and Mr. Galanian, since you deal with solid waste, Mr. Galanian particularly, you know about these ordinances. You've seen this, I'm sure, or aware of this being done in other parts of the state. Do you think that we have to wait for more data, or is this something that you think is reasonable and that would help the landfill and help our efforts?
Just in deference to Mr. Galani, I think what we can do is certainly pull all the information as it exists today,
push that back to the city council and then wait for a period of time where we actually get some of the implementation feedback from other cities as well as Pasadena. So it'll come in two pieces. We can give you information up front that has the ordinance so you know what it is, and then in terms of the effectiveness, we can assemble that as a separate item if that meets council's directive.
Well, I guess I would just say if you feel that there are cities out there that have done this to where you can allay anybody's concerns about the implementation, then I think it's ready to come forward. I don't think we have to wait for one particular city. So,
and as I sit here tonight, I don't know that, so that's why I would say break it into two.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Sinanian.
Good. Okay. Mr. Sinanian, council member, any comments?
No comments today.
Here, Mr. Najarian?
I have a comment. I'd like to congratulate the team at GTV6, and I believe it's Tamar, who is the host of the Glendale on the Move video segment. They were nominated for an Emmy Award. The ceremonies and program will be taking place this Saturday. Not to be in direct competition with GTV6, however, is my wife, Palmyra Najarian, who also is nominated for an Emmy. And I would like to throw out a friendly wager or challenge to who wants it? to Mr. Ochoa that let the prevailing party take the other one to lunch.
I think you hear me knocking.
Is it
coming
the
in.
same category? The same category?
No, different category, so we're not in direct competition. I know both were nominated last year, but they were not, neither were successful, but I have a feeling this year that we're going to have a winner. And
our sincerest congratulations to
is
your
Bourbon Steak open for lunch?
Say again, sir?
Is Bourbon Steakhouse open for lunch?
No. I believe now they are.
Not a King Taco. I don't want a King Taco. I want something good.
That's just no fair.
All right, and but anyway, congratulations to Tamar. It's a very nice segment that I think we all appear on quarterly, informing us and others from staff, informing the community of important developments that they should be aware of.
Well, and I think I can speak for all of us that we wish both of them good luck. Best of luck.
I want to make a friendly amendment to your suggestion that
yes.
They will take all of us out to lunch, not just...
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Councilman Garpetti.
King Taco would be fine, too.
That was a good, let's vote on that.
Right.
Okay.
Comments?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to say it's good to be back from a long vacation. I want to just give my compliments to Parks and Recreation, Oni Kolanikian, and Dan Bell and everybody else on the committee that organized cruise night. It was yet another success. It's one of my favorite events, and job well done and congratulations.
Yeah. Okay. You're welcome. It was a great event for 40,000 people. It was a lot of fun. I'd like to ask my colleagues for a second on a proposal that I have to elevate Bone, South Korea, from friendly city to sister city. As you all know, I went to South Korea just recently, and I know there's been an ongoing discussion about the elevation of this city. I met their respected mayor, Mayor Jung, yes, and I have seen what he has done in that city, and I have also seen the multitude of possibilities of exchange that we might have with this South Korean city, both educationally, culturally, and in other ways. So I think it makes good sense. The Glendale Korean Sister City Association is encouraging this elevation, and if done at this time, it would coincide with the 4th Annual Korean Comfort Women Day on July 30th. So I would ask my colleagues for a second to move forward.
I'll second that.
In elevating Bone, South Korea.
Is Dan Bell okay with this?
Dan is.
And the reason I ask is he's the administrative staff person that handles so much of the details. And I know sometimes he feels overwhelmed with our attempt at reaching out to cities.
He just looks that way. That's all.
He gives it 2 thumbs up.
If Dan's okay with it, I'm okay with it, Madam
2
Mayor.
thumbs up. Okay, so we have a second. All right, roll call, please.
No roll call is required.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so
It'll be on a
Mayor
future
Jung's going to
agenda.
be here in a few days, right?
he's going to be
End of
here
the
August.
30th, in August.
Oh, at
August
the end
the
of August?
6th.
Okay.
6th. Okay, then. Is that it, then? Okay. Next item, please.
Next item is community event announcements. This is a 3-minute portion reserved for individuals who wish to make announcements in the community. Also, anyone who wishes to defer their full 5 minutes at the end of the meeting for public comment and only speak for 3 minutes may submit an orange card, which is located at the rear of chambers.
First, we have Faith Anon.
Good evening. I'm Faith Aon. I'm a senior at John Burroughs High School, and I'm also an intern at the Valley Economic Alliance. The Valley Economic Alliance is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to elevate the economic vitality and stability of our 5-city region, including Glendale, Burbank, Los Angeles, Calabasas, and San Fernando, by assisting Valley businesses, education, and government. So the Valley Economic Alliance is hosting our second Valley Hackathon on Friday, September 23rd from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Cal State University. We're recruiting high school and college students who are interested in technology, website and mobile app development and design, political science, government, public policy, social impact, and marketing. So for those of you who don't know what the hackathon is, it's a technology-focused event for students who are going to be giving a problem or a question that they have to hack, and they have the duration of the event to come up with a solution to this problem and present it to a panel of judges. And at the end of this, the panel of judges will then give them a score, and then there will be a first, second, and third place winners. And so from there, they will be given gifts and opportunities. So last year, the participants were asked to present their ideas on attracting and expanding technology and entertainment businesses to the city of Glendale. And also, Councilman Sinanian was one of our judges, if I'm not mistaken, and our other Glendale city representatives answered student questions regarding Glendale. So this year's is about the importance of voting and increasing voter registration for the upcoming presidential elections, and there are sponsorship opportunities. So if you would like to be a judge or a student mentor during the event or offer internship or shadow day opportunities to the qualified participants, that will be available if you are a sponsor. So for further information or to register as a sponsor, you can contact Angela, whose information should be on the screen. And there's also some flyers here if you're interested, and there's flyers back on the table if anyone else is interested.
Angela, it's not on the screen, so why don't you tell them how to get it? There it is, but it's kind of small. Why don't you go ahead and tell us how to get in touch with you?
Not me,
Okay.
but Angela.
Oh, Angela, okay. 818.
Fortunately, because it's a PDF,
Yes, it's small.
showing this size, we'll try to, there you go. That'll help people see.
Okay, and it starts at 9 a.m. Can you give us the information one more time? Starts at 9 a.m.?
Sure. It's at 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Cal State University at September 23rd.
Cal State LA or Cal State?
Cal State Northridge.
Cal State.
Northridge.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Welcome.
I'll just add that last year's was at Glendale College, and it was a lot of fun, a lot of bright kids there, and I thank Valley Economic Alliance for organizing it again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What is it again? Hackathon? Is it a computer programming thing? Or? I know, but I didn't quite.
Well,
Talk
different
about it.
students with different interests come together to form one group to solve this problem. So some students with a technological background who can form mobile apps, or they're interested in the government themselves, come together to solve this problem. And so since this year's problem is voting, we're focusing on students who are interested in government and app design.
Oh, so they'll combine the two.
It's teams that are taking all these different cuts at a given issue, coming at it from different ways in a real structured brainstorming kind of way.
And creating an app or some sort of
Solving the problem, whatever the given
technological
problem, challenge,
solution.
prompt
I
is.
see.
Get them involved in our tech
Last year's was more tech oriented. This year's is more politically oriented.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Robert Gordon?
Good evening, Mayor Devine and members of the City Council. My name is Robert Gordon. I'm the Friends of the Glendale Public Library Vice President, Community Events Coordinator, and I'm here tonight to announce the next in our ongoing series of featured author events sponsored by both Friends of the Library and Library Arts and Culture. This time we were very pleased and excited to be hosting Cynthia DePriest Sweeney, nationally best-selling and critically acclaimed author of The Nest. Perhaps you've read it, as so many have. The event will take place this Thursday, July 21st at 7 p.m. at the Adult Recreation Center adjacent to the Central Library. The Nest is an extremely popular book, 15 weeks now on the New York Times bestseller list since it was released last March. Number 5 on the Los Angeles Times bestseller list as of this week, the week of July 18th. And just to make the point further, the library system cannot keep the book on its shelves. In fact, if you do an online catalog search for The Nest, you'll find it has 17 holds on the first copy return of 43 copies. This is quite unusual for any book. And we are very fortunate and proud to have Cynthia Sweeney appearing at the library. The Nest has been described as a wickedly funny and deeply felt debut novel about 4 adult siblings and the fate of their long depended upon family inheritance. And it's a great summer read. Please keep in mind that programs like this are sponsored by Friends of the Glendale Library, an all-volunteer organization that promotes and supports many vital library activities, not just author programs, but the summer reading program, workshops and outreach for adults, and toddler and preschool activities. Friends counts on memberships and book sales for its income to make these many community programs viable. So please become a friend and help make a difference for all those who benefit from library services. And we hope to see you this Thursday night. Thank you.
And welcome, Robert. Are you our new Leon Mayor?
Yes.
Yes. Well,
how about
welcome.
that?
Yeah. Leon, hi, if you're watching.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you. Next, let's see. Anyone? That's all the cards I have. So we can move on to the next item.
Madam Mayor, the next item is action items. Interim Director of Community Services and Parks and Director of Community Development regarding adding Chapter 8.80 to the Glendale Municipal Code to define blighted, deteriorated areas relating to the city's use of community development block grant funds for the city's code enforcement program. 881 is an ordinance for introduction.
I'll second it.
To get it rolling, I'm not sure if, I know the city manager has some
Did you want to?
brief comments on that.
I would only say by way, because it is an ordinance and folks may wonder what it is. HUD had changed their definition of blight and asked that we change it as well, seeing as we formerly had utilized CDBG funds to do code enforcement. We no longer do that, as you know, with this budget, but in terms of keeping compliance with HUD, we're asking that you adopt their definition of blight.
Okay, thank you. So we had a motion and a second?
It was just introduced.
Just an introduction.
Yes.
We'll vote on it.
Right. Okay. Next item, please.
Next item is General Manager of Glendale Water and Power regarding report on proposals received for the Power Island equipment for the proposed repowering of Grayson Power Plant. P1 is a motion to note and file.
And Madam Mayor, on this item, I will be recusing myself due to the fact that I have a very small amount of stock ownership in one of the companies that will be discussed during this presentation.
And I must also recuse myself, so I'm going to hand the gavel to Mayor Pro Tem Sinanian to take over.
And just a point of order for the city attorney. I understand they have to recuse themselves. I'm just wondering, given that our contract has absolutely no impact on the bottom line of GE, that doesn't matter to the FPPC?
Under the regulations as they've been revised, Councilmember Friedman, the threshold is if there's ownership of 2,000 or more in stock in one of these companies.
Dollars, not shares.
$2,000 or more. That triggers the conflict provisions.
Okay. Enjoy the coffee. Let's get it started.
Yes, sir. I have a very brief update for you. As you recall, at the commencement of this rather long process, that we would check in with council at certain points along the way to highlight where we are in that longer schedule, and in this case, to give you an update on where we are with the proposed procurement, as was intimated by your colleagues. Two of the proponents for the equipment that Mr. Zern will give you a brief overview on were GE and Siemens. And so rather than eliminate or stymie competition between them, we are going to ask that ultimately you allow us to continue negotiating with the parties. But at this point, Steve will give you an overview of where we are in the process.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, this was meant to be a report back to you in anticipation that we would have multiple bidders for this, and so we would go through an initial vetting process and then come to you and ask you to give us the approval to negotiate with who we thought the two best firms were and the two that could offer the best services to the city. As it's turned out, we only had two firms, and so in order, as Mr. Ochoa said, to keep this competitive, to negotiate what we think is going to be the best result for us, that we are going to proceed on and negotiate with both these firms. We've done the initial vetting. We've looked at their proposals. They had the opportunity to submit as many as 5 options, so we had 9 total between the two firms. We've already begun the process of narrowing that down. As I said, we vetted them. We think they're solid companies. I don't think you need to look much past the name to know that. And they're very well established and experienced in providing power generation facilities in Southern California as a whole, which you know can be very unique from the air quality standpoint. So that's really it. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
Don't have any questions?
My colleagues have no questions.
So you're looking for us to introduce the resolution, or?
No, this is just a note file item.
Okay.
Actually, Steve, one quick question would be, where are we in that process? When do you expect the actual decision point to come?
So the initial vetting, and we've had interviews with the firms, and our team has already started to kind of dig into it, both from a operational standpoint, economic standpoint, and a legal standpoint. So Ms. Cadenas is neck deep in the whole legal issues involved in this. We're anticipating, if everything goes well, we'd be back to you at the end of September with a recommendation on which of the firms and to issue the limited notice to proceed.
Okay.
So do we have a motion to note and file?
I just have a question. Yeah, I have. I'll make that motion. Let's say that it's Siemens. Can they vote then, or can they not vote because the other option would be another firm? Or
when the request to issue a limited notice to proceed comes, they cannot participate in that decision. But if at that time the council chooses Siemens going forward, they should be able to participate.
Okay, thank you.
How long did it take for them to respond to the RFP?
We gave them 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Very detailed. It was actually, I can tell you, hand trucked in.
So for repowering, they gave you 9 proposals, basically.
1.5 and 1.4, yes.
I understand. Between the two, they gave you
Correct.
9 different options.
Correct.
Within 6 weeks?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The IRP that we had, then the RFP that was based on the integrated resource plan, very detailed. Actually makes it's very complex, but not the myriad of combinations that you otherwise might think for a project of our size.
There's a lot of standardization that's easy for them to bridge from one project to another when you're talking about certain units. So,
okay.
Do we have a second, Mr. Harpetian?
I'll second it.
May we have the roll call, please?
Was a motion made by Councilmember Friedman?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. Members Friedman?
Yes.
Garpetian?
Yes.
Najarian? Sinanian?
Yes.
Mayor Designee.
Thank you. Next item, please. Oh, wow.
Item C is General Manager of Glendale Water and Power regarding resolutions for intent to reimburse certain expenditures from proceeds of proposed tax-exempt financing. C1 is a resolution declaring the intention to reimburse certain expenditures from the proceeds of proposed tax-exempt financing for the proposed Shoal Canyon Landfill Gas Project. C2 is a resolution declaring the intention to reimburse certain expenditures from the proceeds of a proposed tax-exempt financing for the proposed power of the Grayson Power Plant.
Mr. Ochoa?
Yes, ma'am. This item effectively winds the clock by way of expenditures that would be reimbursed by bond proceeds if, in fact, you do decide to, one, move forward with the projects that are referenced in the resolutions, and two, bond finance them. This action here is not the decision to sell the bonds. This action here is not the decision to move forward with the projects. It merely says that if at some point you are going to go forward to that, we could start the clock now in terms of reimbursable expenses. So if you have any specific questions, I'm sure Steve or Mike could answer those.
Any questions from council? A motion for the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call for this one.
Council members Friedman.
Yes.
Garpetian.
Yes.
Najarian.
Yes.
Sinanian.
Yes.
Mayor Devine.
Next item.
Next item is General Manager of Glendale Water and Power regarding exclusive negotiating agreements with Waste Resources, Inc. and OWS, Inc. for development of integrated resources recovery and energy conversion facility on city-owned property. D1 is a motion authorizing city manager to enter into an exclusive negotiating agreement to determine the feasibility of development of an integrated resource recovery and energy conversion facility in Glendale and to negotiate a potential real estate instrument in furtherance thereof with Waste Management, Inc. and OWS, Inc.
Report?
Yes, ma'am. And let me apologize to the city clerk. I think the action item is there's an error in it. It says waste management versus waste resources. Is that correct, Steve?
That's correct.
That's on us.
We changed all the documents. We just missed the
agenda item here. So with that correction, I would only offer to you that the discussion about an anaerobic digester actually moving forward with conversion technology, green technology at the Shoal Canyon landfill facility that would take the existing methane gas that is produced by the landfill and rather than move it through an underground pipeline to Grayson Power Plant, be able to move forward with a project there that would expand the anaerobic digestion activity that takes place by way of taking organics, green waste, food waste, that which will give us a very clean and much more potent methane gas that we can then decide what to do with it, whether we would burn it on site and flare it or we would actually truck it out and sell it as the one half of the green energy equation. That we would get full credit for, I might add, in our renewable portfolio. We first need to vet out partners, potential partners. And so what you have here is one firm, OWS, with an international profile, has been doing this for some time in Europe and Belgium, and a local firm, Waste Resources, that will come together and partner with us to basically show the black box under the auspices of the exclusive negotiating agreement. That will give us the ability to evaluate whether or not this ultimately makes sense for Glendale. So if you approve this ENA tonight, this exclusive negotiating agreement, that basically gives the negotiating partners assurances that their proprietary information remains proprietary and confidential to the degree allowed by law. If you were to approve this ENA, this is not an endorsement of a project, but rather it allows us the ability to look under the hood, if you will, and make sure that what we think is what we know in terms of what the costs are, what the technology is, what the scalability, suitability of that site is. But with that, if you have any specific questions, Steve can certainly answer those along with Rubik.
Okay. Any questions?
I have a couple of questions. So this, in order to after the ENA is done and let's say the facility is built, are we going to have another containers at the homes to collect food, or is kind of whatever comes in, it gets separated at that time?
Madam Mayor, Mr. Garpetian, our intention is to take the existing organic green waste program and tie the food waste into it so we can make it as easy for the consumer as possible. So we will encourage people and start to train people and put out the public relations to get people to put that material, that food waste material, in the green waste bin. So that was our intention, is to make it as simple for the end user as possible. And then we will sort that at the facility and deal with it there. Because there's certain aspects of the organics that you don't really use, the woody waste, limbs and branches and those kind of things. So you want kind of the more richer grass and leaves along with the food waste. So that's our intention. Again, that's something that we'll work with the with the firm on the details, but initially we were trying to make it as easy for the consumer, for the homeowner or the restaurant to do that, and we would just tie it into an existing program. So no, not an additional container, but using what we have.
So if we do that, there won't be any additional cost to the consumers.
Well, we'll have to get to the bottom of that, Mr. Garapetian, because this process could very well, depending on what the economics of it are, it could drive prices up. But again, you're also eliminating landfilling, increasing your waste reduction, state mandated waste reduction, and doing something that's a little bit greener. And sometimes that may cost you a little bit more. Couldn't say right now. That's why we want the E&A, so we can figure that out. But I wouldn't tell you that there's not going to be any fee ramifications for us going forward on this. To what extent, I don't know. That's what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
So, and the reason we're doing an E&A as opposed to an RFP is because the RFP was already done.
Yes, sir. We had done an RFP and pulled a number of firms, a number of international firms, but nothing really quite fit for Glendale. Again, everyone wanted something that was much larger than we were comfortable in terms of recommending to council. Sensitivity over Shoal Canyon landfill being what it is. The promise here is that we can scale the project, and if we can scale it, then it's something that fits what our needs are, and where we go from there is entirely up to this city council. To the extent that we will have to run an economic analysis, a cost-benefit analysis that says when we have to stop using green waste as alternative daily cover, or at least we don't get credit for doing that any longer, and we'll have to landfill it, treat it like solid waste. We'll have that option, or the option of taking it out to a compost facility at some remote location. That's going to add some of that cost that Mr. Zern refers to. And so this council will then use this E&A as a trial period to say, well, if the cost today to take it to Sunshine Canyon is $52, $53, and it's going to cost us another several dollars just to truck it back and forth, what is the cost of processing it for anaerobic digestion, recognizing other policy goals that you might be able to realize. But we will ultimately disclose all of that to the council and the community, and you get to make that decision.
Right. So in other words, this is just the beginning of a process. There are many factors that have to be considered. A lot of math has to be done.
I would say this is probably the beginning of the middle. And we've done an RFP process. We have a lot of information, but what we don't have is what we think and what we know. There's a difference, and we don't have that industry equity position understanding. That's what a private partner would have, but they need assurances that their proprietary information is proprietary.
And the issue of expansion, non-expansion of Shoal Canyon is a very important one. We keep talking about it and have to confront this issue, undoubtedly. It's my understanding that an anaerobic plant will minimize the amount of waste out there, right? And the amount of waste that goes into the ground. So it's ecologically a healthy concept, isn't it?
It ultimately is. People talk about green alternatives. This is a green alternative. This is an alternative. If you look at all the advanced technologies that exist in the world that people refer to, this is the only one that's permitted in California, and my understanding, let alone the United States. So to the extent that this is here, it's in front of us, we have the opportunity. It makes some sense. Now, to the other part of your question about the landfill, we have methane gas being produced today, and we have to deal with that methane gas. We have the opportunity to move forward with this opportunity to move forward with an anaerobic digester, which gets into the conversion field, which we haven't really been in, and then also allows us possibly to enhance our renewable portfolio by taking literally waste to energy, because we would use that methane gas like we do now, blending it with other natural gas and creating electricity that GWP then supplies to customers. So that cycle is very real, and it is actually quite green. It's very green.
And the other end product is actually like compost, right?
You will get a nice, rich compost that you then can. Some folks will sell it. That's if you take it out to the facilities where they commercialize it, commoditize it. I don't know that we would have that ability, but we would be able to extract that compost and then transfer it out. Hopefully, it's something that would offset whatever our cost is. But as Mr. Zern indicates, this is the period of time that we'll use to verify all of that thought.
And are we With the EIR being done for the landfill, is this going to be included in that process, or it's going to be something separate?
Heretofore, we've had a separate, I'll defer to my esteemed colleague, because these, to the extent that the Shoal Canyon landfill produces methane gas now, we've been looking at this as an independent standalone project. We could very well continue on that track. If we decide to fold it into the project, the EIR on the landfill, that's a policy decision that the City Council is ultimately going to have to make. Right now, we are looking at all of the data, all of the responses that we got, and ultimately we'll have a recommendation for you on that. But the short answer is not necessarily. It could remain a separate standalone project.
So with the EIR being done for the landfill, we don't have to include this within that EIR?
No, I mean, that would be our position is that you don't have to. If you want to, we would hope that there are some good policy decisions for that.
All right, thank you.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Council members Friedman,
Yes.
Garpetian,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Sinanian,
Yes.
Mayor Devine.
Yes. Next item, please.
Next item is oral communication. Discussion is limited time, is not part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Council may question or respond to a speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. City manager may refer the matter to the appropriate department for investigation and a report.
I have 2 cards. Anahid Fenergian. Anahid?
I think so.
There you are. Okay.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. My name is Anahid Fenergian. I have been a Glendale resident and Glendale City employee for more than 20 years. On July 5th, my coworker and I sent an email to council members to point out a mistake that was made in the execution of council-approved resolution and to respectfully request your assistance in initiating a correction since the HR director could not acknowledge the error. We have not yet received a response to our email. We do not know if indeed council read our email. I brought some segments of the copies of the resolution. Today I'm here to bring to everyone's attention that both resolution number 15-98 approved on June 2nd, 2015 and resolution number 16-112 approved on June 14th, 2016 were not executed according to the terms specified and approved by council. The day after we sent the email, my coworker and I were separately summoned into a conference room where our immediate supervisor, our division manager, and our department director sat across the table. At that meeting, I learned that they had gotten the email we had sent to the council members. In our email, we had described in detail what we find wrong in the way the resolutions were executed. I know very well that when a resolution is written, it's posted on the city website along with the agenda and presented to council. That resolution lists specific actions which, if the city council votes and approves it, then city officials must follow through with the exact actions listed in the resolution. On slide 2, I have the title of the resolution, which says, "A resolution of the City of Glendale providing for the establishment of classification titles and compensation for employees of the City of Glendale covered by the Glendale City Employees Association Memorandum of Understanding, including confidential and hourly classifications." These particular resolutions have been listed that I've listed affect our employee wages. So when properly executed, all the employee classifications listed shall be equally affected by the terms indicated in the resolutions. And on slide 3, section 9 reads, "This resolution shall take effect and be in force as of July 1st, 2015. Furthermore, the classifications set forth alphabetically in sections 4.1 through 4.3 inclusive of this resolution shall be subject to cost of living increases of 1% effective July 1st, 2015, and 3% offset by an increase of 1% of purse cost sharing effective July 1st, 2016. And both have about the same wording for section 9. No restrictions or discretions are mentioned in either resolution. Since our job classification is included in the list and we are currently employed in that classification in terms of resolutions apply to us inclusively, just as stated in both resolutions, and I have a copy of the Section 3, which is all the classifications listed under the hourly employees. And in Section 2, it says, as to the persons in the various classifications titled herein, mentioned subsequent to the effective date of this resolution, the increases or decreases in rates of compensation set forth herein shall be effective on the date of the adoption of this resolution. My coworker and I, as city's resource specialists, should have been inclusively affected by the terms specified in both resolutions. All we know is that these resolutions inclusively entitle us to the same terms as all other employee classifications listed. These are valid council-approved resolutions that were incorrectly interpreted by the HR director, who told us that the department directors can exclude some employees and in the process, in my opinion, go against the council-approved on June 2015 and June 2016 resolutions. So we escalated the issue to ask for council's help.
Thank you. I don't remember getting that email, but I would like to ask Mr. Ochoa, is this resolution inclusive of all of these?
We believe that the resolution was implemented both in the spirit and intent of what the council approved and implemented correctly. The city does have that authority, as you heard from this person. First it was that the director didn't speak to her, then later the director did, as well as her own director. To the extent that city resource specialist is a very specialized position that is extremely well compensated and part of a classification that is gradually winding down. They are the folks that work on our PeopleSoft system. And as you know, we're migrating over to a Munis system, and that will take place over the coming weeks and months. As a matter of principle, we did not increase that salary because we did not think that it was necessary, one, or mandated, two. And again, considering what the compensation is today, did not think that there was any moral imperative or any kind of failing in not doing it.
What was the compensation today?
It's about $90 an hour.
And was it included in the resolution that the department chair head could exclude?
If I may, it's probably best that we respond to the employee individually and that we respond to you separately. We will say that the practice and policies established by the city's documentation is that the decision whether or not to actually grant a cost of living adjustment for hourly workers is discretionary with the city manager and the department heads, and that's the practice that we followed. So we'll get you more on that independently.
Thank you.
One more question, Madam Mayor. How many employees are impacted?
2.
Oh.
Councilor Manager.
Mr. Ochoa, you indicated that these positions are winding down because we're going from one system to another. So what would happen to that position when completely switched to the new
It would
program?
be eliminated.
Okay. Are they hourly?
They are hourly employees, but highly specialized, very useful. But we used to have 4. We're down to 2. 3 if you count the other person that works for us through Oracle. And so what I think you see is a gradual attrition of these positions.
And as a general general practice, is there when there is a dispute or there's a problem, do they go to council or they go to Civil Service Commission?
No, it's quite inappropriate to come to council, in my humble opinion.
I understand, but what's the proper channels for?
To go to the Human Resources Department.
Resources Department. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Mulhill.
Good evening, council members. My name is Mike Mohill. Mayor Paul Devine, when you decide to run for council again, you may want your tagline to read, "Promises made, promises not kept." 1. You broke your promise not to transfer another $20 million from GWP to the general fund. Instead, that $20 million will continue to fund the outrageous salaries and pension benefits of our CalPERS union workforce. Your recent efforts to defeat Measure N tells the public you want to continue to have Glendale full-time CalPERS employees, city employees that is, earn a whopping 83% more than a full-time Glendale resident. 2, you broke your promise to keep Rockhaven Sanitarium, a museum surrounded with a green belt. Instead, you rather sell Rockhaven piece by piece. 3, you promised pension reform and nothing seriously has materialized. Even though we are swimming in pension debt, you recently had no problem in approving over $1 million in pay increases for city union employees. Also, pay raises increase the taxpayers' pension obligations for our already overpaid city employees. Money that should have instead gone for public transportation, roads, libraries, senior services, and the list goes on. No, Mayor Devine, you would rather make sure we continue to have the best government employees that money can buy. 4, Madam Mayor, you promised to be a good listener. Glendale stakeholders were promised overdevelopment would slow down or stop. But instead, you have approved a couple of new hotels and mega construction projects. In 2006, the residents of Northwest Glendale and Rossmoy were promised the Downtown Specific Plan, DSP, would keep large mega construction projects south of Glen Oaks Boulevard and not in their backyards. Recently, a developer came forward and wanted to build either a large condo project or a hotel at the corner of Dryden and Brand. You initially led the effort to downzone the area, only to be defeated by the Gang of Three, led by the entrenched Councilman Nigerian, followed by Council members Garpethian and Sinyanyan. Councilman Nigerian approved the Downtown Specific Plan back in 2006, which stated all mega construction would not extend north of Glen Oaks Boulevard. Mayor Devine, on June the 14th, 2016, I said to Councilman Nigerian he should recuse himself from voting on the Dryden Brand property because he recently had rented the former Recess restaurant space as his campaign headquarters and had developed a relationship with the property owner, even though he denies this. Mayor Devine and the public, isn't it ironic that our senior councilman Nigerian, who wanted to be your next county supervisor and who was involved with the development of the DSP plan, now has the audacity to state that the Aloft Hotel location is an extension of our downtown? Unfortunately, today, Mr. Nigerian still continues to approve mega construction project